Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Maurice Patton, Wade Neely coming at you from high atop the 11,000-seat Lee Company studio that is Murphy Center, the Glass House, as Alcoa just completed a 74-40 victory over East Nashville in the Class 2A. Right? 2A? State quarterfinals. It's starting to run together.
Yeah, we're hitting that kind of midpoint, that blurry point. You know, you were here even later than I was last night, and I was here pretty late. It was a long night here at the Glass House, but we're right back at it.
But it was a fun night, and it's fun being here. But at the same time, it does start to run together. When you start talking about 16 games in 2 days.
Whew. And I've chatted with a few of the staff workers here, not even necessarily TSSAA, but just the security staff and the event staff.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were dragging it. That was yesterday. And I don't know where they keep the coffee pot or where they keep the energy drink cooler, but whoever is supplying that thing, they need to make sure it is fully stocked.
And props to them for doing so.
Yes, and kudos for doing so, because, it is it's the busy time, but you're right. The adrenaline of this place is what keeps you going. And unfortunately, we had a little bit of a snoozer there. Alcoa, the defending champs, they kind of pulled away in convincing fashion versus East Nashville. I will not make a football joke. But I think the next couple of games will get us through. And obviously, we got a great show today, which I'm pumped about.
We do have a great show today. In the second hour, we will be visiting, as we have been fortunate enough to do over the past few Thursdays, with Jerry Palm, CBSSports.com bracketologist. This will be our final visit with Jerry before Selection Sunday. So going to get his thoughts as we wrap up the pre-NCAA tournament selection process. Obviously, most of our Power 4, 5, 6
something like that
are in tournament play this week, and some other NCAA tournament berths have been secured. So we'll be checking in with Jerry on that in the second hour. Later in this hour on Coach's Corner, we will visit with there we go, newly named Antioch football coach ARCENTAE BROOME, moving over from Overton, taking his 4th Metro Nashville program, and checking in with him, getting some thoughts on what he sees over at Antioch. And just it's always good when we can talk to ARCENTAE. I've known him since he played, and he's all to talk to, so looking forward to that. Also, obviously, we will be doing a little hoops update, both from here at Murphy Center and at the collegiate level. A lot going on, both on the court and in some athletic departments. So we will be touching on that. And, NFL free agency continues.
That big wheel just keeps on turning.
It really does. And I mean, we talked about it with Navas days ago. It feels like the Titans are more active than I remember them being. Certainly there's plenty of reason for it, but still, to see it is still a little wow. I mean, we saw 2 moves yesterday that were mind-blowing.
I just wish you had already gone down courtside, I think, after we had wrapped up the show. And I wish I had a video. I wish we had not turned off our cameras. Chris Yao seeing the news of Calvin Ridley coming to Nashville. We're, on the balcony, as it were, here, kind of up in the second level. He about jumped off this thing. And, I mean, he was very, very excited. And, we follow, obviously, on social media throughout the night. Fans are excited. And you're right. Whether it's fact or it's fiction, it certainly feels like the Titans run off now making more moves than they really ever have.
Well, more moves,
or more splashy moves, I guess, if you will.
Yes, both. I mean, more and splashier. I think both. I mean, because, going out and getting a Calvin Ridley, that's as dynamic a move, I think, as this front office, as the Titans front office has ever made. I mean, you followed this team for a while. What's a move that you would compare to that?
I mean, the big splash a few years ago was obviously getting Julio Jones, but
in
obviously,
terms of the way it played out. Though.
And I think, whether folks wanted to admit it or not, I think we can pretty much all agree that he was definitely on the decline in his career, which obviously has been outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a diss by any means, but not kind of picking up a guy. Not to say that Ridley, is an all-pro receiver by any means, but he is a huge piece and a big asset for the Titans. And we talked about it with Terry. The fact you go out and get a hot coordinator in Callahan, the fact you were able to get his father to come. Those moves were kind of universally praised by a lot of national media. That was kind of an odd sensation for us here in Titanland.
Yeah.
And then now the fact that they're going out and making a couple of extra free agent moves and some splashy ones at that kind of, feels a little unusual. I kind of like it a little bit.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
It's kind of nice to kind of be on the national forefront in a positive bent.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's two ways to make national news, and it's nice to be on the positive end for
This one is
once.
better than the other one. Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and another move that was made yesterday that kind of went under the radar, but it's going to be a big deal, I think. So we'll get more into that later in the show. Right now, what we should probably do is give the people yesterday's sporting event results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
All right, folks, the rundown begins with boys basketball action. Yesterday saw Bartlett knock off Brentwood 51-45. Independence puts up 88-74 for Laverne. Very high-scoring game here in the Glass House. Rossview followed with a 64-43 win over Morristown East. In a game we'll talk more about from last night later on this show. Holy mama, 53-50. Santa Fe comes roaring back and defeats North Green in an electric showdown here. And then earlier this morning, Whites Creek opened us up with a 52-31 win. Again, those are boys basketball games from right here inside the Murphy Center. Baseball scores from yesterday. It was Lawrence County 7, Baldwin, Mississippi 1. Bing, Oklahoma, hope I got that correct, 6, BGA 4. Whether you slice it or dice it or however you pronounce it, BGA unfortunately falls 6-4. Again, your score there. Gallatin wins at 15-0 versus Clarksville Northwest. Friendship Christian, a 10-8 win over Summertown. It was Green Hill 9, Oak Ridge 2. Green Hill followed with a 6-1 win versus Northside, Alabama. It was Hillcrest, Alabama defeating Summertown 12-0 in Summertown's second game of the day. Hume Fogg fell to East Nashville. Close ball game, though. 6-5 was your score there. Antioch 13, Hunters Lane 3. Independence blanks Page yesterday, 5-0 in the shutout win. John Overton takes 2, 1 versus Cane Ridge and 1 versus East Nashville. They knocked off Cane Ridge 12-1. They defeated East Nashville 10-3. Lawson defeated McGavock 6-1. And in a game played in southern Middle Tennessee, it was Loretto 7, Giles County 5.
Also yesterday, University School of Nashville defeated Nashville Christian 10-7. It was Lawrence County 6, New Hope of Alabama 4. Nolansville with a 3-1 win over Franklin. Grace Christian of Franklin, pitchers duel here. Grace Christian of Franklin 14, Palm Beach Gardens of Florida 12. Hillsborough with a 13-1 win over Pearl Cone. Spring Hill stays hot with a 15-2 win over Richland. Raider on Raider crime there. Siegel with a 9-3 win over Stewart's Creek. It was Smith County 18, Hope Prep 10. Lipscomb Academy with an 11-0 win over St. Michael Catholic of Alabama. Centennial doubles up Summit 8-4. It was Christ Presbyterian Academy 8. Tuscaloosa Central of Alabama 1. Tuscaloosa County of Alabama 17. Wilson Central 5. It was Walton of Florida 7. Donaldson Christian nothing. Friendship Christian with a 6-1 win over Waverly, and Good Pasture defeated White House Heritage 6-3. In softball action, Coffee County with a 12-0 win over Spring Hill. Summit falls to Brookwood of Alabama 6-5, and Lawrence County doubled up Wayne County 6-3. On the pitch, it was Murfreesboro Central 1, Smyrna 0. Men's basketball action last night in the SEC tournament down at Bridgestone Arena. Vanderbilt's season came to an end with a 90-85 overtime loss to Arkansas. More on that later in the show. Middle Tennessee State down in Huntsville extends its season sorry, Joe Sullivan, with a 70-67 win over Louisiana Tech in the opening round of Conference USA tournament play. In women's action, Conference USA, we mentioned this one on yesterday's show, but Middle Tennessee State with a 78-50 win over UTEP. The Preds, 11-0-2 in their last 13 games.
Holy moly. They're on fire.
What's the phrase? Too hot to handle, too cold to hold?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
They are electric right now.
Nashville Predators 4, Winnipeg 2 out in Winnipeg last night. The Hornets with a 110-96 win over the Grizzlies. And in CONCACAF Champions Cup play, Nashville Soccer Club goes to Miami, falls 3-1 to Intermessi, and their run in that bracket is done. They can now concentrate on the MLS schedule.
How about that? Yeah, that's the positive spin. We didn't want to win that cup anyway. I mean, now you're worried about the MLS and the regular season there. So disappointing result, but NSC does go down. As we look ahead now into our schedule, boys basketball, again, all these games right here inside the Glass House. Red Bank will take on Creekwood at 4 p.m. At 7:15 tonight, Hume Fogg will meet Upperman. And in games that will be played tomorrow before we go on the air, Independence and Rossview will tangle at 11 a.m. Santa Fe will challenge Chattanooga Prep at 12:45.
And as Brad Slaughter said in our article that you can read at mainstreetmurray.com, we will not back down.
I love it. I love it because they've come too far to turn back now.
Now we're here. We might as well win it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we will be keeping our eyes on that one, no doubt, tomorrow. Those are the boys basketball games on the docket for tomorrow. To the baseball diamond, your schedule. Grace Christian Franklin will take on Miami Springs, Florida at 3:30 p.m. Beach and Riverdale will get it on in Murfreesboro at 4:30. Columbia will travel to Rockvale at 4:30 as well. And in another 4:30 start, Hendersonville is at Good Pasture. 5 o'clock starts tonight for Perry County at Hampshire, Gallatin at East Robertson, Montgomery Central at Lakeway Christian, Watertown is at Pigeon Forge, Ray travels to Ray County, Mount Pleasant visits Collinwood at 6 o'clock. Where we are, there we go. Middle Tennessee Monarchs will play Columbia Academy also at 6. Brentwood Academy and McCauley. Culleoka at Moore County tonight. Creekwood is at Smyrna. Clarksville Northeast is at Todd County, Central Kentucky. And at 6:15. Also, Giles County and Loretto were scheduled for 6:30 originally. Canceled the JV game. That's going to begin at 6 o'clock down in Pulaski. And you can hear that game on PCL. That just got changed. I love spring sports. They can just kind of change it when they feel like it on you, like that, right?
Couple with little or no warning.
Little to no warning, folks. Couple more here before I turn it over. I want to get you through the 6:30 window. 6:15 tonight, Eagleville is at Community. Richland is at Cascade at 6:30, as are these other games. Dixon County at Clarksville. Spring Hill at Forest. I mentioned Loretto and Giles County, now a 6 o'clock start tonight. Fairview at Harpeth still at 6:30. Christian Community at 6:30 as well. Christian Community at Joe Burns, beg pardon. McMinn Central taking on Murfreesboro Central Magnet. And in our final 6:30 start tonight, Pope John Paul II versus Providence Christian.
7 o'clock scheduled starts for Tullahoma at Blackman, Coffee County at Middle Tennessee Christian, Siegel at Mount Juliet. Siegel at Mount Juliet, 7 o'clock start. Riverdale hosting Clarksville Academy at 7. Also, Shelbyville goes to Rockvale. Portland is at Springfield, and Stewart's Creek taking on visiting Ensworth. All of those 7 o'clock starts. Softball action today at 3. Mount Juliet and Farragut will face off, as will Nolensville and Siegel. At 4:30, it's Watertown and Greenbrier, Independence and Siegel. Also, Middle Tennessee Christian is at Webb, the Webb School of Bell Buckle at 4:30. Okay, scroll bar. There we go. At 5 o'clock, it's Murfreesboro Central at Cannon County. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that game's actually being played, since the Cannon County boys basketball team is currently on the floor.
Half a Cannon, 90% of Cannon County is here inside the glass house right now. Yeah, exactly.
Also at 5 o'clock, Lawrence County travels to Columbia Central. Gallatin hosts Westmoreland. Frank Hughes is at Mount Pleasant. Blackman hosts Eagleville at 5:30. Also at 5:30, Santa Fe is at East Hickman. Beach and Farragut will play at 6. Also at 6, Cornersville is at Giles County. Knoxville Halls plays Greenbrier at 6, and Cascade travels to Rockvale for a 7 o'clock matchup. On the pitch, Kenwood Boys Soccer is at Clarksville Academy. That's a 5 o'clock first touch. Also at 5 o'clock, it's Columbia Academy at East Hickman. Portland is at Springfield. At 6, Culleoka hosting Westmoreland. DeKalb County travels to Lebanon. Kirkwood is at Montgomery Central. Fairview plays Providence Christian at 6:20. Not 6, not 6:15, not 6:30, but 6:20.
The rarely seen 6:20.
Hardly ever seen, yes. 6:30, bottom of the hour, it's FC Boyd Senior Christian at Zion Christian. At 7, Henry County makes its way over to Clarksville, taking on the Wildcats. And at 8:10, Evangel Christian of Alabama faces Good Pasture. Also, real quick, SEC tournament action right now. Mississippi State and LSU are playing in the opener down at Bridgestone Arena. That game will be followed by Arkansas and South Carolina. Hold on, wait a minute. Mississippi State won that game 70-60 over LSU.
There we go.
So we're waiting on Arkansas and South Carolina at the bottom of the hour, followed by Ole Miss and Texas A&M at 6, and Georgia and Florida at or about 8:30 p.m. tonight. And that is your rundown. Your top story today brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and stop through there for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the register. So again, Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, our top story sponsor. And we will start with the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Players of the Week in baseball and softball. On the baseball field, Tennessee Tech's Tanner Shriver hit .471, scored 6 runs, had a triple, 3 home runs, drove in 8, and stole a base as Tech went 4-0 on the week. So congratulations to Tanner Shriver, the TSWA's Player of the Week from last week. Meanwhile, we mentioned Devin Petrell earlier this week. Actually, he was one of my Monstars. He was the SEC Pitcher of the Week, and now he is the Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Pitcher of the Week as well. Through the first complete game shutout by the SEC pitcher this season, through 9 runless innings, giving up just 5 hits, 7 strikeouts, improving to 2-0 on the year with a 3.68 ERA. So Devin Petrell, the left-hander for Vandy, is the TSWA Pitcher of the Week. On the softball diamond, Carson Senior Brooke Matt Yascovy, that's what we're going with, has hit 6 home runs in her last 16 at bats. Carson Newman went 5-1 on the week as she went 10 for 19, driving in 13 runs, scoring 13 runs, tallying 29 total bases. That's a pretty solid week, Miss Brooke. And in the circle, Trevecca's Ashlyn Sensing threw a perfect game as the Lady Trojans won 8-0 over Missouri St. Louis. Struck out 8 and threw just 66 pitches.
Holy smokes.
66 pitches over 6 innings.
Talk about efficient.
Efficient. There you go. For the year, she was 3-1 on the week with 3 complete games, 24 strikeouts, and a 1.80 ERA over 23 1/3 innings. So congrats again to Brooke, Matt Yascovy, sure, and Trevecca's Ashlyn Sensing, the TSWA's Player and Pitcher of the Week from softball. Wow, that was a test. and I'm sure I passed it.
I would give you passing marks. You got through it, and there were some tricky names. There was a lot of stats, and anytime you got a perfect game, you're in the running, obviously. But
Sure.
when you have a perfect game like that, I mean, that'd be one you just print out the box score, print out the play-by-play and just say, here you go.
Here.
And just, wow.
Yeah. So.
And in Division II, I mean, we're not talking high school, we're not talking middle school or even NAI ball. A D2 perfect game kind of should hopefully mean something a little bit more.
Absolutely. We should probably talk a little bit about reports of Jerry Stackhouse's dismissal at Vanderbilt in terms of the top story. We can probably delve into it a little bit more with the Hoops update, but it is being reported that Jerry Stackhouse has been dismissed. No official word out of the Vanderbilt athletic department, but CBS Sports, among others, is reporting that Stackhouse, 9-23 in his 5th season, will be bought out. That number, supposedly, according to CBS Sports, is well north of $15 million. I was told somewhere between 12 and 15.
Whew.
But
that's a lot of double cheeseburgers, partner.
That's a lot of money to go away. And I'm reminded once again of Ed Orgeron. When you want me to leave and what door you want me to go out.
I'm a competitor, or at least I fancy myself a little bit of a competitor. I ain't $15 million to go away type competitor. You give me $15 million to kick back, I'm kicking back.
See ya.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, let's take a break because we need to get to our Coach's Corner. So newly named Antioch football coach ARCENTAE Broome, who's green room. So we are going to take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, and we will have Coach Broome when we come back.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Welcome back to the Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Later in the show, we are going to re-air one of our favorite segments as we visited with SiriusXM college football talk show host Chris Childers, talk a little MTSU football. And full disclosure, we tried to air this last week, and we ran into a log jam of guests and were unable to do so. So we think we're safe today.
Fingers crossed, but you never know. That's the beauty of being in the glass house. There's a lot of big dogs roaming around here. We may have to snag one.
And we may, or one may just walk up and sit down.
Yeah, or they may join us whether we like it or not, right?
Yeah. So, but right now it's time for Coach's Corner, and we are going to visit with newly named Antioch football coach, certainly no stranger to Metro Nashville football, ARCENTAE BROOME. Played his high school ball at Stratford. There we go. I had Stanford, I had Samford, Stratford. Went on and played at Tennessee State, has coached at McGavock, Maplewood, Overton, and now embarking on a new gig over at Antioch. Coach Broome, welcome to the show. We appreciate you.
Man, thank you for having me, Mo P and Mark. Appreciate everything.
Absolutely. Talk me through that move, because, I mean, when Devin Arnold left Antioch after a couple of seasons to go back over to Lipscomb Academy, I think that there was some, obviously some wondering who was going to take that spot. He had really elevated that program in his 2 years. They snapped, I think, a 22-game losing streak at one time, went to the playoffs this past fall. They've got some talent over there, particularly they've got a good lineman over there that I'm hearing a lot about, and a sophomore quarterback that really kind of turned some heads this past fall. So, what made – I may have just answered my own question, but what made that an attractive situation for you after having spent the past few years at Overton?
A little bit of what you said, but also too, I think that every place you go to, you're there for season, you're there for a certain amount of time, and I was talking to one of my good friends, Jared Joslin, longtime head coach around the mid-state, and he called me the restorer, and I was like, wow. But when I think about it, man, that's kind of the things that I've done in different programs. And Devin did a heck of a job, man, propelling Antioch to where it is. And it's like I told the kids when I met with them, we're right now there's a mountaintop, and right there kind of at a little plateau spot, but we want to rise a little higher. And I think that with what they have there and some of the guys that I plan on bringing in as far as coaches, I think we can make that happen. I'll say this: Overton has been a heck of a place to work. Great people, kids are great. But like you said, man, this is, you gotta think, Mo P. Even when I was at, you were around when I was at TSU, and this is my 25th year as a football coach. This will be my 21st year coming up as a head coach. So, I've kind of been around for a minute, and not saying that I would be retiring in in any time soon, but it's close. So there are some things I've done a lot of. Let me say this: I've done a lot for a lot of other people during this time frame. As far as when I've taken jobs, or decided not to take a job, and sometimes you stay somewhere too long. I think the Maplewood spot, I probably should have left 2 years before I did, but it's all in the wash, and decision is made, and I'll be an Antioch Bear, man, and I'm super excited to kind of get started. And honestly, man, for me, this is about to be a challenge because I've never been on that side. Antioch is Antioch, and that's where it is, man. It's a lot of people out in that area. It's a growing area, but I think that it's always been a sleeping giant. It's just the right person has to be in place, and it was that I had gotten some phone calls years ago about Antioch job, but where I was, I still had guys like Bo Hodges, and you can't walk away from a kid like that. So it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be a big challenge for me. Be working with some younger guys. I've noticed the last couple of years I'm the oldest guy on my staff, so that's kind of crazy. So,
Coach Broome, we're certainly glad that you've joined us. And kind of as you dive into this new experience, what are some immediate challenges, or what are some immediate goals in the very, very short term, as we get kind of closer to spring ball that you're really trying to get implemented? And we can worry about the big picture later, but what are some things you're trying to kind of get going in the short term here with your new program?
Man, the number one thing I told them is the effort level, the accountability piece, and their mindset. Those things are what you need right now in order to propel everything else. Definitely the mindset part. We can't be satisfied in the fact that at the end of the day, they still went 4-6. Last year went 4-6. So at the end of the day, we've got to move past the 4-6. We've got to move past beating Cane Ridge for the first time. You got to move past all of those first, and now start creating a lane for yourself. And I think that's our biggest deal is creating a path for Antioch football that we can ride, for the next foreseeable future.
Also, when you take over a new program, this is such a cliche, but everybody says, you talk about building a culture, and it seems like you kind of have talked about that a little bit. How important is that to you? It seems like when you take over a program, getting the kids to buy in is certainly important, but it seems like you really got to get the fans, the administration, everybody kind of involved, and I know that's a total different set of challenges. How has that process been, and what would you like to get done there to kind of really get that complete buy-in from the whole community and the whole program there?
Well, I'm going to tell you the honest truth of complete buy-in is winning. At the end of the day,
that makes it easier.
At the end of the day, winning football games is how people buy in. Take, for instance, when I first got to Overton, there wasn't a buy-in. We lost our first game and we rattled off 5 straight. And from that point, our stands were packed every week. We had people traveling, something that hadn't happened at Overton in a while. I want to get to the point to where everybody's calling like, hey, what's going on over at Antioch? That's what we want to. We want to have our stands packed every week. We want to have people in the community coming out, and making it be a deal where everybody's talking about not just the buzz about Antioch football, but an actual thing where, man, there's something happening over there. Let's go see what it's about. And I think that's what you can run with.
It's amazing how well your buy-in increases with winning, right?
Oh man, it's total. It is. This is the thing. Like, I take when Michael Tribune hired me at McGavick. McGavick had been, I think they'd had one winning season since maybe 92, and I got hired in 04. and at Maplewood. Now Maplewood was a different story because Maplewood had Ralph. Ralph had done a great job, and we were successful out of the gate. But that success out the gate kind of helped us keep people around because we only had a couple of low years in between, and then we were right back with, like I said, Bo Hodges and that crew. So winning always kind of eases it eases the pain, as Lisa Stanfield would say.
ARCENTAE Broome, newly named Antioch football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, our other co-host, Chris Yao, and I are fond of saying football is a quarterback-driven sport. You've got one. Tell us about him and tell us why he's going to be so vital and so easy for you to build around.
Well, it's a saying when in our little fantasy football league, we always talked about how Peyton Manning back in the day was a cheat code in fantasy. And when you got a quarterback, man, when you got a quarterback that not necessarily can throw, but somebody that can run your offense, that's what you need. You need somebody that can run your off. Not saying he's a game manager, but whatever you're doing, he can run that. And when you have that, that gives you at least 3 wins in high school, regardless of what level you're on. It gives you 3 wins because now, and when I say 3 wins, that's compounded on anything else you have going on. Andre Adams is of course, a good athlete. He's got a great arm. He's got a good head on his shoulders. And I think I would honestly say, man, he gets a lot of that from his dad. I remember it's crazy because his dad and I were talking, and I was coaching. I was a head coach of McGavick when we played Antioch, and he was the quarterback with Preston Brown and LaMarcus Coker. And it was funny. Kenny said that during the week he was like, "Oh man, I'm about to throw for 300 on McGavick," and we ended up beating Antioch 24-17. We were down 17-7. And I just think that Coach Adams has taught his son, a lot of things that makes him good. But also too, he has a calmness about himself. Nothing rattles him. Just in watching him, go through progression, watching him play, and just watching his everyday movements, man. He's not a kid that doesn't get too high or too low. He's a very even kid. And I think that's going to be a big plus for our team. And he's got other guys, man. We got other guys on the team, man, that are going to be able to help us. That he can throw to. Drew Adams, Jalen Fowler, and also Brother Galladay. Man, they all are guys that are going to help us. But man, Andre is a very, very poised kid. And of course, having a quarterback is a cheat code. So
yeah. And he's a big kid. What is he? 6'5", 6'6"?
No, he's about 6'3". He's
still
growing.
Okay.
But he looks about 6'4", 6'5" in his pads on the field, literally. So he's growing though, yeah.
Well, I feel better then. ARCENTAE, you mentioned you coached against his dad, and I can appreciate that. What you're starting to get to that age where you're seeing guys who are sons of guys that you have seen, and you mentioned being the oldest guy on your staff and that kind of thing. What kind of comes with that for you? Just that having been through the wars, that been there, done that kind of thing. How do you feel like that pays off in your coaching approach these days?
Definitely a lot more patience. The way I was when I first became a head coach as to now, I'm a lot more. A lot of my guys have come by. Even one of my guys is coaching with me now. I think you remember his name was Travis Carter. And Travis played for me at McGavick. And Travis would even tell some of our kids, like, man, look, hey, coach ain't like he used to be. Like, just the aggressiveness. I'm still that, but my approach is a lot different. And also, too, man, I think when you have a young staff, just the seasonedness of being in certain situations allows me to allows me to mentor to some of the younger guys and show them like these are the things you need to do. Even when it comes down to just situational football, you know, things that happen, you know, on turnovers or third down situations. There are a lot of different things that when you've been in it, man, you can draw back on past experiences to help you through a ball game. You know, there's always a chess match. You're not going to know everything through film. There's always going to be wrinkles that come. And I think being around the game so long and being in certain situations allows you to attack those wrinkles and be able to be prepared for things that you just can't be prepared for.
Coach, do you still tape your wrists?
Every single game. It's like, Mo P, I'm going to tell you, man, if I don't feel comfortable. I got to. It puts, but the crazy thing is, man, I always tell people this. You know, I like to have guys on my staff that have played the game because there are small things that you do, little innuendos that you can give yourself, and that's just part of it. Like, it helps me get into the mode of a ball game. I may not do it until, you know, 20 minutes before the game or 5 minutes before the game, but it gets done. And if I don't do it, somebody's going to be like, "Hey, Cole, you taping your wrist?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I got that. Let me get on."
It's going to get shouted out one way or the other.
Coach, he was coaching. He brought his Maplewood team to Spring Hill a few years back, and I walked up on him during warm-ups. I'm like, "You gonna play? How many carries you getting tonight? You got your wrist taped. What in the world?" I had to get a picture of it. It was just hilarious to me. But like he said, you know, it's like Dusty Baker and the wristbands and the toothpick and that kind of thing. You know, you're getting ready. You're getting ready to put your guys into war.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you've got to do to get yourself ready for your guys. And I love it. I love it. I thought it was hilarious, but I love it. ARCENTAE BROOME, the new Antioch High School football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, I appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing some great things out of the Bears this fall, and we will be catching up.
Man, appreciate it, guys. Man, I always say this, man. I love what you guys do for high school sports, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Coach.
All right. Hey, before we get out of this segment, we need to give out some hardware real quick. Our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week is the Columbia Central Lions baseball team, which, speaking of new coaches, Devin Simler and the Lions ripped off 3 wins to open the season last week. They defeated Centennial 3-0. They won 8-4 at Oakland, and they won 5-4 at Siegel. And they have since won 2 more.
Yeah, what else? I mean,
so the Lions, the Lions 2 years ago won 5 games total. This year they are 5-0. So congratulations to Devin Simler and the Columbia Central baseball team, our Custom Stone Handlers In to Win Life Team of the Week. Our Player of the Week, stop me if you've heard this before, Allie Weathers from Loretto, who averaged like 21 points.
I have heard that before, but I'm not going to stop you.
That's okay. Averaged 21 points and about 9 and almost 10 rebounds a game during the Lady Mustangs state tournament run last week as they finished second in the state, falling to Gibson County in the championship. So Allie Weathers, again, is our Main Street Murray Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance Athlete of the Week. So congratulations to her. When we come back, it's Throwback Thursday. We're going to try to wedge it in. Stay tuned.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Throwback Thursday. Are we on? Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, Maurice Patton, Wade Neely, and we're going to throw it back to a segment from a couple of weeks ago as we visited with Sirius XM college football talk show host Chris Childers, kind of get his thoughts on his and our alma mater, Middle Tennessee State. Let's hear what he had to say.
We are now joined by Sirius XM college football personality, Chris Childers. Chris, what's up?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you, man. I know we were slated to have you earlier in the week, and some issues prevented you from being able to come in with us, but glad you were able to get in today. And Chris, I reached out to you. You're an MTSU alumnus, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I graduated in January 04. So it's been a couple decades, but yes.
Well, trust me, it's been a couple and then some on this end. But wanted to get some input from you regarding the recent coaching change on our campus. And you warned me when I reached out to you and asked you if we could discuss this. And you said, I'm not a fan of the newly named Derek Mason as a hire. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. So I'm fascinated, though, by what it is you don't like about it.
I don't think it can work. I honestly think we regressed. I think we went backward. We didn't upgrade. If you're going to get rid of somebody like Rick Stockstill, who I think is a rock solid football coach, you better be going in a direction where you really believe the program is going to improve. And I don't see that. I think Derek Mason is a guy, so they want to get somebody to re-energize the program, to reinvigorate, to get people in the stands. I don't see how Derek Mason's that guy. I don't see how a guy who could get, maybe a handful of home fans to show up at Vanderbilt on West End, and 99% of the home games were dominated by the other team. I just don't understand how that's that guy. I know Vanderbilt's in a unique situation, but to me, having studied Derek, having covered Derek, having been around Derek, I think he's a good coach. I think he's a really good defensive coordinator. I just don't think in this modern era that Derek Mason's going to be an upgrade. Rick Stockstill, to me, should still be the head coach at Middle Tennessee. It bothered me to the end of the earth that we made the move. And the reason being, Stockstill, to me, was really good at maximizing more. I just don't think how many people in the Middle Tennessee area understand how bad our school is. And I'm saying that with all due respect, but our facilities are absolute trash. I know they're getting better. I know they've broken ground. I know they're moving in the right direction. Geographically, we're at a disadvantage based on where we're at compared to other schools that we compete with. We just don't have a lot going for us. And to me, to have a coach that was consistently going to bowl games, that was consistently finding ways to beat bigger opponents like Miami 2 years ago, I really believe that people didn't understand how good they had it with Rick Stockstill and how Rick was able to maximize a bad situation. It really made me mad, honestly, when Chris Massaro had the gall to say that he compared Stockstill to the other teams in the conference, and that was the measuring stick. And I think that's BS, because I'll compare Chris then to all the other leagues, teams in the league, and say that we're behind. We don't have the kind of bells and whistles that other people have. Go look around. Go visit. Go to other schools. Hell, go to like South Alabama, and you'd be like, hold on a second. That's what they're working with, and we're working with paper Dixie cups and strings until they get this this place going. I don't know if Derek Mason. Look, we're in an impossible situation when it comes to keeping players. If we have anybody that's good, they're going to leave. We don't have NIL. We don't have stuff like that that's going to be able to be competitive. We need a coach, in my opinion, that was going to go out there and be an entertainer. He was going to go out there and beat the drum. He was going to figure out a way. Like in my fantasy world, there was going to be somebody we would attract that was going to be able to go out there, and he was going to be flamboyant, and he was going to be, an outspoken, and he was going to be somebody that got into Nashville, got the entertainment business. Hey, this will be, you can own our team. You can own it. NIL the hell out of it. Country music business, get involved. Let's find a way to be different. And I just don't think Derek Mason is a guy that is going to be creative. I think he's probably 3 or 4 years and we're doing this again.
It's an interesting concept. As one, Chris, I think that you're probably right in obviously the comparison of the facilities. I don't think South Alabama is a fair comparison, considering that they only started their program a decade ago. But
we'll go to Western Kentucky. I mean, any of them.
I understand, but I'm curious how we expect to get more when, sure, beat Miami. Now, understand, I'm a Jacksonville State grad, so I hope I hope this hire sucks. I hope you're exactly right in that Derek Mason. I hope it's terrible, but that's neither here nor there. That being said, now, I mean, sure, you can beat Miami and you can beat Missouri and you can win those games, but you lost a conference championship in your own building. You didn't play for another one. I mean, sure, that Conference USA was better. This one was awful, and he sucked.
Not with Liberty, though. And the thing is, here's what people need to understand. We cannot keep players. If you're any good at all, like, we're getting picked clean at the end of the season. If we're good, our guys are going elsewhere. They're going to transfer. They're going to go other places. They're going to have a chance to play right away. To me, when you're at such a disadvantage, if you can be competitive at all, you're in a pretty good situation. I truly believe like there are schools that have competitive NIL at this level. And we're certainly not even, I mean, we don't even have a collective. I can't even find where to give money to if I want to be a part of it. That's a problem. That needs to be fixed. That needs to be addressed. That needs to be a part of this. There needs to be a community that understands that you can't complain about the results unless you're actually helping, because now that's a part of it. You have to get your hard-earned money. It's just it's the nature of the beast right now. That's where we're at in the world of college athletics. To me, Stockstill was solid. I think he's a guy that was able to maximize more from less. He was a water hose drinking guy. I think people are going to realize how tough the Middle Tennessee job is without a guy like Rick Stockstill there to kind of mask some of the deficiencies. Now, I know we're getting better as far as facilities. Thank God. It's super long overdue. You know, I used South Alabama as a reference. Go look at anybody. I mean, I've been all over the place. I travel around. I cover college football for a living, and I just kind of see how things are. And you got to understand, geographically, Tennessee is not a great state for recruiting. It's getting better. I mean, our population obviously has boomed, but it's not Florida. It's not Mississippi. It's not Georgia. So it's tough. And now we're in a league with this Liberty that can spend anything they want. They got endless supplies of money, and they're spending, $5-6 million on a football coach. That's going to be hard to catch on an annual basis. That's going to be difficult. So in my opinion, Derek Mason, there's nothing about him that says this guy's going to work in the modern era of college athletics. There's nothing about his resume. There's nothing about his background that says, oh, we've upgraded. And that's what bothered me. To me, you have to get somebody. I want somebody that's going to be in the press conference saying, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm getting the community involved. We're going to raise this money. Find ways to make Middle Tennessee cool. Because we have things that we can play up to that can give us an advantage, but we never do it. We don't do anything creative. We stay in our little Middle Tennessee bubble, and we kind of, bathe in mediocrity all the time. And to me, there's more potential to unlock in this program if somebody'd be willing to do it.
Chris Childers of Sirius XM Radio joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. And Chris, I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It makes sense. My question is, how much of that is coach related and how much of that is administration related?
A ton of it. I think Sidney McPhee is terrible. I've been saying that forever. As an alumnus, I will beat that drum. I think he has meddled far too much in athletics. What bothers me, go back and look at the end of the Kermit Davis era, and we just let our basketball program rot. Our basketball program with Nick McDevitt, and I think this guy McPhee gets so into the hiring process. I know firsthand, I had a friend that was a candidate for the job at MTSU, and I know what the process was like because I talked to him about it. He's the one who's making the hire. It's not Massaro. And that to me is a problem because I think Chris Massaro is actually one of the better athletic directors in the country. I think he's smart. I think he's savvy. I think he's budget savvy. I think he's a guy that's been able to maximize who we are and work. I mean, look at the coaches that have had longevity under him, whether it be Rick Insell, Kermit Davis was a decade and a half. Rick Stockstill was, a decade and a half plus. There's a lot of, and think about how rare that is, especially for a place like Murfreesboro, Tennessee, in a school at the level of middle. To have coaches be successful and stay for a decade and a half is unheard of. But to me, when you get the university president too involved in the hiring process, and I think Nick McDevitt and Derek Mason were Sidney McPhee hires, I think you're cutting the knees out from Chris Massaro. And we had a massive opportunity to capitalize on where we were as a basketball program. Kermit laid an incredible foundation, and we just kind of let it rot. And it's so disappointing. We beat Western over the weekend. That was the only time I've been happy in God knows how long when it comes to watching that team. It's frustrating. So to me, in my opinion, he's too involved. Be a university president. A lot of good things have happened at Middle Tennessee and I don't want to be Johnny Naysayer here because I love my school, but I study this stuff every day. And I know schools and I acknowledge schools and I recognize schools that do it the right way. And then I do see schools that, kind of step over themselves. And I think with Sidney McPhee, in my opinion, again, just athletically, I think as a university president, he does a swell job. But I think his hands are far too deep into the athletic cookie jar, in my opinion.
Chris, as we've talked about the Derek Mason hire, and obviously it seems like we have a pretty firm grasp on where you land, but I'm curious, what are one or two things that Derek or Coach Mason could do that would either surprise you or potentially make you at least pause and say, okay, this was unexpected and maybe a step in the right direction? And I'm curious just what one or two things like that would potentially look like.
Well, I'll be curious to see, what this team looks like in the spring and on, spring game day, and to see what they look like athletically, to see what the line of scrimmage looks like. You're only as good. If they've done a nice job of addressing situations on the line of scrimmage, and I can look out there and see that there's guys that I think can legitimately stop the run and get after the quarterback, which really is at this level, especially, you're only as good as your guys up front. I don't care how good you are at the skill spots, how good you are at quarterback. You have to be good. If I can go there and be like, oh, okay, he's got a little something, I might change my mind. I might think that this team has a chance to be pretty competitive. I don't know, though. And the thing about it is you guys recognize, it's such a guess. I mean, nowadays, we just don't know. I talked to a coach about this the last couple of days on my show with Rick Neuheisel on Full Ride, and what's amazing about this modern era of roster acquisition is that coaches call it speed dating. Remember before what I mean by that is, remember before, these coaches used to get, years worth of relationships in before they made a commitment to a kid, and the kid made the commitment to them. Nowadays with the portal, you're kind of guessing. You're kind of hoping that this kid's going to fit. He's going to fit our mission. He's going to fit as a character. His athletic ability is going to fit. And when you're doing that a lot of times with the portal in a given year, you could either be really lucky and it works, or it could be a disaster. So with this team, that's like we make fun of these I used to love the preview magazines, go get the Athlon or the Sporting News. Those guys can't even, those magazines aren't accurate because when they put them out, we don't even know who's on the teams.
Right.
So I'll be curious to see what middle looks like from an athletic standpoint, just getting out there and watching them in spring ball. And if they look, a little bigger, a little plumper, a little more athletic than I thought, then, maybe I'll be a little bit more encouraged about the start of the year.
Once Rick was gone, Chris, was there somebody that you would have had in mind that would have been a better fit for MTSU than Derek Mason? Were there somebodies, plural, that you felt like would have been a better fit that were realistic options for middle?
All right, I don't want to be too big of a homer, and me not liking Derek as a hire has nothing. I want to be very, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with who they didn't hire.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is going to sound weird, but I wanted them, and he did interview in person. But I wanted it to be Rick Neuheisel. And the reason I wanted it to be Rick Neuheisel is because Rick Neuheisel, to me, has a vision for how to succeed at that level in this modern era. I talk to him every day about it. I understand he's the personality. He's the flamboyance. He's the guy with the guitar. He's the one that would be in the honky tonks in Nashville and recruiting Chris Young to, essentially run his program with him. And to me, if you could have gotten the celebrities of Nashville to truly buy in, and nobody would have done it better than Rick, that's now how we separate ourselves. That's how we create an identity. Let them be the pseudo owners. Let the country music community take over the program and be the pseudo owners. And by the way, we're going to private equity probably eventually with these athletic departments. Why not let it be that industry? Because I truly believe that could be our ticket to be something unique, and it could be our ticket to get into the college football playoff. That opportunity exists. We can make the playoff now. That's real. And I don't see any reason why you can't be taking advantage of a community of celebrities that love football and say, I know it's not Georgia, I know it's not Alabama, but this is 30 minutes from you, and you could essentially own it. And you're going to have your hands all over it. And he believed in that vision. To me, that is the vision that the only vision I think that can make this program separate and special in this NIL era, in this world of name, image, and likeness and collective. So,
yeah, but they weren't going to hire a guy named Rick.
Well,
this is the problem. He should have changed his name.
I think they were closer than you think.
Were they going to hire a 63-year-old, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was closer than you think.
I can tell you, I had never heard that name, and I'm not doubting you because
it happened in Atlanta, and our boy McPhee messed it up. So, there you go.
That's very intriguing. Today I learned. I mean,
he's gonna be very pissed that I said this out loud, because he's very quiet about his interviews and stuff like that, because he does want to coach again. But he's gonna hear it.
I can tell you.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Trust me. And I think he would have been a guy like that. I think you need a showman. I don't think a football coach will do anymore in this world of NIL. I think you need a football coach and a showman,
especially at the mid-major quote level. Probably you need some type of a gimmick, like you said.
Oh, we had it all planned out, dude. His sister lives in Franklin. I mean, we had a life planned, baby. We had a life plan.
That's wild.
Yep.
As sweet as his CBS Sports gig is, he was going to give that up to go back on the sideline, huh?
Yeah, he would, and especially at a place like Middle. Rick loves Nashville. He loves the entertainment business. He loves to, just be moving and shaking. And I think Middle Tennessee would have been a really good fit for him as far as lifestyle. But that would have been a great one for me. If it wasn't my guy, if it wasn't my radio partner, I wanted somebody young who really understood how to grind out this era of college athletics. That would have been my take. Some coordinator somewhere, whatever. That would have really that had a track record with recruiting guys in the NIL era and the transfer portal would have been my pick.
That's interesting. I'm very intrigued by that whole situation that you just laid out there. Chris Childers with Sirius XM Sports Talk. Chris, appreciate your time, man. Appreciate you coming on with us, and hopefully we can catch up with you again here soon.
You're welcome, guys. Thanks for having me. I hate to be so negative. I feel like I was so negative, and I promise you I'm a happy person. I'm smiling now for those that can't see.
We'll get you back to at a better time, maybe.
Absolutely. We'll get you back and talk about
like Middle Tennessee. So I'm probably the biggest MTSU women's basketball fan. So if you want me to be positive, get me back on to talk about that, because
Are you going to Senior Day tomorrow?
Of course.
I'll see you over there.
I love those girls. Yeah, I'll come say hi to you. Absolutely.
Do that. We'll talk, man. I appreciate it. Chris Childers with us here on
Go Raiders.
On Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. Hoops update. Ripley is up 42-30 on Cannon County going into the fourth quarter of this Class 2A state tournament quarterfinal matchup here. The final 2A game of the day will swing into 3A quarterfinal action after this one. Down at Bridgestone Arena, it's Arkansas 33, South Carolina 30. Coming up on 2 minutes left in the first half down there as the Razorbacks, surging out of that 90-85 overtime win against Vanderbilt last night and continuing that momentum against the Gamecocks and Lamont Paris, who apparently is off of the market after signing a 6-year contract extension with South Carolina here in the last 24 hours. And
well deserved, I suppose.
Well deserved,
right?
well earned, and certainly disappointing for some folks in Ohio, among other places, I guess. But so while Lamont Paris knows where he's going to be, Jerry Stackhouse apparently does not. Various outlets, including Yahoo Sports, reporting that Stackhouse is done at Vanderbilt following that 90-85 loss last night to Auburn. Again, we talked about it at the top of the show. 9-23 this year are the Commodores. They're getting off to a 4-8 start. They finished 4-14 in the conference, 13th in the 14-team conference. And this article winds up with a pretty galling rap for some Vanderbilt fans, I'm sure. Whoever takes over for Stackhouse will be tasked with returning the program to the success it had under Kevin Stallings over a decade ago. From 2007 to 2012, Vanderbilt made the tournament 5 times and was no lower than a 6th seed in any of those appearances. Since the 2012 tournament, Vanderbilt has played in the tournament twice and has not been better than a 9 seed.
Had been great, to say the least. And, the part is a couple parts of frustration. Obviously, you're frustrated that you made a pretty splashy hire and you kind of just on good faith are assuming it's probably going to work out, right? I mean, kind of like me with Michigan, I'm assuming Juwan Howard's going to be a pretty good fit. Maybe not as much. Kind of the same with Stack. And on the other hand, as we talked with Joe yesterday on the show, Joe Sullivan, you got Bryce, who's doing well out at Grand Canyon, which they're set up. It wasn't like he was taking over a barren, that's a little bit of a pun, I guess, the barren canyon over there, barren canyon. But he's done a great job, obviously. And so now the question is, you've gone to a couple different candidates. Just philosophically, where are you as a program, and kind of what is your next move? Do you go just roll the dice on another splashy hire, or is this next iteration of Vanderbilt basketball going to be maybe more up-and-coming type approach?
It's going to be interesting. One name that that I've heard that makes no sense to me on the part of the prospective candidate, it's Bucky McMillan.
I'm looking at our friend Blake Level's timeline right now, and he posed that question, who should coach Vanderbilt fans? Half of the feed is saying Bucky Ball.
Why does he leave? There's a great piece on The Athletic on him that's come out, I guess, one day last week, maybe. Everything that he's done within about a 5-mile radius of his childhood home.
Yeah.
Why would he leave there to come here?
And
because here's the thing, to me, he's going to have other opportunities, and he's going to continue to have other opportunities, and some of those opportunities are going to be a lot more certain of success than this one.
That is the kicker, right? And we see this a lot, though. Some coaches, they take really kind of the first big offer that comes their way.
I don't think he's that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's going to he's a little more calculated. And I feel like he's probably going to.
Well, and the thing is, he doesn't have to leave.
No. I mean, yeah, got a great situation there. Doesn't have to leave. And
I mean, they're ready to put up a statue of him right now.
Now already.
He could retire at Samford and be just fine and still be within a 5-mile radius of where he grew up. That ain't the worst thing.
Not the worst thing. And, Samford, Vanderbilt, a private school, obviously, as well. But Samford, you got a great setup there. Private school, they kind of really, if they like you, they really like you. Mm-hmm. And they can take care of you in ways.
And can take care of you.
And that other institutions can't. And I'm like you. I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to just jump at this first opportunity. I think probably it's fair to say, I mean, keep in mind, we're having this conversation before the NCAA tournament even begins. What if they go out and win a couple of games, which we've seen, obviously, just leapfrogs coaches out of nowhere to jobs? Yeah, I don't know that Vanderbilt is going to have, unfortunately, if you're a Vandy fan and you want Bucky, I don't think you got a shot right here because he may get a couple better offers this year. And if he's going to turn those down, he's probably going to have even better offers next year if he can certainly duplicate what he's done this year.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And if he can't sustain it, he stays at Samford.
That's not the worst thing in the world, like you said.
No, it's not. So I think they might want to refocus things as far as that goes. Big win in Huntsville last night for the inhabitants of our 11,000-seat Lee Company studio here. Middle Tennessee State 70, Louisiana Tech 67, and both Joe Sullivan and I, among others, were naysayers following Middle's 84-70 regular season ending loss at Ruston on Saturday. So, congrats to Nick McDevitt and the Blue Raiders getting La Tech off their home court. Certainly didn't hurt.
Yeah, and that was the point I was just getting ready to make. We know what they can do in this building. They went 11-6. We know what they have done on the road, and it ain't good. They went 1-10. But they ain't exactly bad on a neutral court. They were 1-2 coming into last night. So maybe all it took was just luring them, saying, hey, come on, meet us down in Huntsville.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, accounts, I wasn't there last night to gauge the crowd, but mean, geographically, are they not the closest team?
I would think
outside
so.
of
Either they and
Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
So they had a chance and will have a chance, obviously. Just talking with our good friend, Dr. Tim Wilson, who is a professor here at MTSU. Huge fan. He jokingly said he didn't go last night because he wanted to watch the Alden Slaughter show, which I
He
can't
was
blame
not
him.
disappointed.
Not disappointed. And he joked, though. He said, I kind of wanted to just see if they would win a game. And it's kind of like what we talked about with Chip on Tuesday. I think tomorrow night you're going to get a big swell of MTSU supporters. And who knows? I mean, you're 2 wins away from sneaking into the NCAA tournament just out of nowhere, really.
You know, we're going to be talking to Jerry Palm in the next segment, and Bid Steelers is going to come up. And I would say that the Blue Raiders would firmly fit that definition. Jared Coleman-Jones with a double-double last night, 16 and 10. Justin Porter with 18 points as Middle knocked off the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs against 70-67 to advance. They will play tomorrow at
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock against the winner of tonight's Western and New Mexico State matchup. That game can be seen on CBS Sports Network tomorrow at 2. So, and I think Middle has beaten both of them, right?
And I was thinking, is that not a great situation? If you get Western, obviously, you don't really got to worry about getting fired up for that game.
I know.
And then if you get New Mexico State, in theory, that's a more quote-unquote beatable opponent, or a team at least you've had success with this year. So they're set up nicely. I know Sam Houston, you know, they are a really, really good team that potentially you're meeting in the championship. But MTSU kind of just sneaking around the chicken coop a little bit here right now.
Kind of playing with house money at that point as well. And, you know, as Chip said, if they could get through that game last night against Louisiana Tech, all of a sudden it kind of starts to open up for them a little bit. And sure enough, it seems to have done exactly that. We talked about Stackhouse. It seems he is not the only guy whose tenures at their respective schools seem to have come to an end. Louisville pulled the plug on Kenny Payne, mercifully enough, after 2 seasons. Washington and West Virginia are both in the market for new head coaches as well. Also, Travis Ford is out at St. Louis. Mike Davis is out at Detroit Mercy, and I'm sure that the coaching carousel will continue to pick up speed here as we get to the end of tournaments for various teams.
And that's the wild thing with college basketball. Football, you know, your game ends and you see a couple days go by, maybe even a couple weeks before really you start seeing the carousel crank up. Stackhouse was coaching in Bridgestone Arena last night. And obviously, I think a lot of people knew he himself knew if he didn't win and keep winning, he was probably going to lose his job today. But, I mean, in less than 24 hours, you're done.
Yeah.
And real quick, you mentioned Kenny Payne. Number one, he's a loose friend of Martin Methodist, good friends with the Bain family. Nate had been out with him at Oregon years and years ago. That's a guy that worked so hard to get a head coaching job and really kind of had a cushy lifestyle as a top assistant. He kind of took a swing and kind of bet on himself to go to Louisville. And obviously,
his alma mater, right?
Yeah, alma mater. I mean, it didn't work out. So that's kind of unfortunate, obviously. But props for taking a swing, I suppose. But then the other thing is, I hate to say this, I thought he got let go in the middle of the season already. Maybe there was just so much of a groundswell. And kind of like Stackhouse, they finally made it permanent today. But,
yeah,
I know Louisville, it's probably the right thing to do, kind of like Stack. It didn't seem like it was going to be a long-term option.
No, and you know, I just think that there was such a lack of success that it really just kind of felt like the writing was on the wall. And like you said, it's kind of unfortunate with it being his alma mater and that kind of thing, that things didn't go any better than they did. It always, to me, feels like it hurts a little bit more when it's one of your own.
Yep, and I mean, that's the same thing that's going to probably happen with Howard at Michigan. I mean, he had some early success. He at least tasted a little success. But, yeah, I mean, that's the gamble you take when you hire somebody, right, is you're going to have an unfortunate conversation unless, obviously, it is an amazing partnership.
And that's, that was my concern certainly when Memphis hired Penny. And I don't know that we're necessarily out of the woods of something like that taking place with him. Maybe not this year, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, I don't think.
Everybody loves the coming home. And oh my, huge jam for Ripley here to put a bow on this one. Everybody loves the coming home story in the alma mater, but it rarely works out the hallmark kind of way that you envision it, unfortunately. I mean, and when you do, it's just kind of sad, obviously, because if it's going to end like that, you almost wish it didn't happen in the first place in many regards.
I'm telling you, it's a question that I was asking the whole time that process was spinning out, that Tubby Smith got gone and Penny Hardaway gets coronated. What happens when you have to fire your legend? And I mean, for everything that Juwan Howard did at Michigan, for whatever Kenny Payne did at Louisville, very few guys enjoy the legendary status in their program that Penny Hardaway enjoyed at the University of Memphis. And I can't think of a whole lot of other guys that are as beloved as players as Penny Hardaway was at Memphis as a player. And the prospect of having to have that conversation with him is not very comfortable.
Patrick Ewing, Georgetown. I mean, the script kind of happens almost every year, and it's such a cool story when it happens.
On the front end.
And you want it to work so bad, but I just feel like it hardly ever does.
And when it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
And then, that's the question now. Like, obviously, whether it's, this year or maybe in a couple of years, if and when Penny does potentially get that axe there, how does that situation, because some folks, they take that real personal, and then
well,
I'll just say this.
And as we've seen over the course of his coaching career, Penny has taken a few things real personally.
And at the end of the day, I know we're kind of in a new era of college athletics here, but it's always nice to keep the guys with deep pockets in your good favor. And when you kind of have to bid adieu to a legend like that, you put that at risk a little bit too as well.
Just a bit. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports today. And when we come back, it's time for a little bracketology. And it's starting to get real here with Selection Sunday just, 4 days away. So we're going to visit with Jerry Palm of CBS Sports when we come back here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Stay tuned.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see. whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are now joined by Mr. Double-Double himself, Jerry Palm of CBS Sports. 10 points, 14 boards in Valpo's 86-61 Belmont in the Missouri Valley. Oh, wait, wrong Jerry Palm. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Brothers from another mother.
Gary, I guess stuff is really starting to get real here now in terms of bracketology. And right off the rip, man, what is up with Kansas?
Well, they're hurt. You know, Hunter Dickinson and McCullough, their two best players, didn't play, and you know that's kind of a problem. Most teams aren't going to do very well without their two best players, and even though you know Kansas, you would think would have a lot of depth, they have almost no depth. So it's a tough situation for them. They expect them back for the NCAA tournament, but that probably cost them a seed line yesterday to have that 20-point loss to Cincinnati. It's I don't know. I mean, I guess you can get through the NCAA tournament without a lot of depth. You're only playing, 2 games in 3 days, and you get a bunch of time off. But gosh, if you have any foul trouble at all, I don't know what you do.
You know, it's kind of ironic, though, that 20-point loss, that 72-52 loss last night was to Cincinnati because, everybody remembers when Kenyon Martin got hurt for them, and it cost the Bearcats, some seeds, I guess,
that's
in
one
the
of the
NCAA tournament.
It cost them a lot more than that. You just don't take the National Player of the Year off a team and expect them to be the same. It's I mean that's the most famous conference tournament injury. Of course, those guys weren't injured in the conference tournament; they just couldn't play in it. But they're expected back. And Kenyon Martin, of course, never came back.
So they are. So you don't think that the injuries will necessarily impact their seeding as much as just their performance without those guys has
right.
to this point?
Yeah, I mean the loss still counts.
Mm-hmm.
The committee puts a little more weight on how you did with the roster you're taking into the tournament than otherwise, but all the games count.
Jerry, as we come into this final week of play here before Selection Sunday, I'm reading your blog or your article online here. What can you tell me about a term that I love? Now, give me a rundown on the double bubble and what that is. I love this concept that it's kind of essentially a play-in game, it seems like, but explain a little more.
Well, it's not really, but it's just two bubble teams that are playing each other, and obviously the winner has a leg up. But, for example, in the Seton Hall St. John's game, they're the last two teams in my bracket. the winner obviously gets another chance to play. In this case, UConn. And you beat UConn. Now you've done something for yourself. But it's possible that both teams could still make the tournament, and possible that both teams could miss, because it depends on what other teams do.
I love that concept, and yeah, it's what we see this time of the year. It's almost, yeah, obviously you keep your season alive, but really in a way you're kind of looking more toward the next game, because it gives you a chance, usually more often than not, a chance to beat a higher ranked opponent and really solidify your spot in the field, it seems like.
Yeah, what you've won is an opportunity. You haven't guaranteed yourself anything else, but an opportunity to give yourself the kind of win that might put you in the tournament.
Real quickly, SEC play obviously is underway just a handful of miles from where we are broadcasting today in Murfreesboro. And Mississippi State was ranked as your second bubble team right behind Michigan State. Give us an update on Mississippi State as we kind of keep tabs on the SEC tournament a little bit here.
Yeah, for Mississippi State, they're the 5th or 6th team in my bracket, so they need to avoid just taking a bad loss here. And if they can do that, they'll probably be okay. But, you know, you got to fill the field, right? So they could lose and still get in. But you know, you just put yourself in jeopardy when you do that.
Other question I had, keeping it in the Volunteer State here, a lot of kind of chatter or concern or worry from potentially from Rocky Top. How safe is Tennessee's #1 seed versus North Carolina as we come into these final few days here?
It's not safe. They're going to have to go out and win it.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
if they fall short in the SEC tournament, North Carolina wins, and North Carolina would probably have to beat Duke. It's not just winning the ACC tournament. They need to beat the best teams they can on the way to that win. If they do that, then it could be North Carolina. It doesn't really. I mean, there's prestige in being the #1 seed, I suppose. But as a #2 seed, they'd get to play closer to home.
Yeah. Jerry Palm, bracketologist for CBSSports.com, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Jerry, if I'm reading your 1 seeds right, is UConn the overall #1 now? Have they overtaken? Okay. All right.
No, that if you're looking at the list on our page, they're just alphabetical by region. Purdue is still the overall #1.
Okay. All right.
And UConn 2, Houston 3. That could also change because those 3 are really close together. But at that, you talk about irrelevant. Those 3 teams know exactly where they're going, and it doesn't really matter what order the committee puts them in.
Okay. All right. And as Wade said, you know, we continue to talk about Tennessee, a #1 in the West, or #2 in, you know, a #2 closer to home. And are they any worse than the 5th overall seed?
I can't imagine they would be. The committee does like Arizona, but they're not competing with Arizona for a spot, so that wouldn't matter either. They're not. I can't imagine that Tennessee would be in a position where they wouldn't get favorable geographic placement as a 2 seed.
As a 2, okay. All right.
And they'll get the first and second round, their preferred first and second round sites, regardless.
Okay. Which would be what? Memphis?
Charlotte.
Okay. Hey, yeah. Twice as close.
Yep.
Yep. Much closer.
Hey, Jerry, a lot of talk, obviously, about Indiana State and kind of where they sit. You can enlighten us on them if you'd like, but also is there another quote-unquote mid-major team that is really, really going to be sweating coming on Selection Sunday in your mind, or maybe a couple even?
No, it's just Indiana State. You know, they're in a similar position to Belmont. In 2019, Belmont got in the tournament. Belmont's resume wasn't as good as Indiana State's is this year. So there's some hope for Indiana State. The committee doesn't normally take teams like this. The quad 4 loss the week that they were ranked, they took their 2 worst losses of the season the week that they were ranked. And if they had only lost one of those games, we'd be having a different conversation. They might still get in anyway. I hope they get in. I'm not currently expecting them to get in.
Timing is everything, huh, Jerry?
Yeah. It's a tough break, and Drake's a good team. That's those two teams have been that they went 1-2. Indiana State went 1-2 against Drake this year, so those are pretty even teams.
Looking at your top 16, your 1 through 4 seeds, basically. Other than Kansas, who is in danger of falling below that 4 line? What you feel like?
Well, I mean, BYU lost today, so they could drop. Auburn's got a weird resume. They only got one quad 1 win, and in 8 tries, or 1-7. And I went back through my data. I've got about 30 years worth of data, and the only team I could find, the highest seeded team I could find that had one quad 1 win in at least 8 tries was Michigan State 2004. They were a 9. I don't think Auburn's going to be a 9, but if they end up a lower seed than you think, it's because they haven't really stacked the quality wins that get them a higher seed. However, they could do that in the conference tournament. They could get a couple higher quality wins and take care of that problem, fill that gap in their resume.
Jerry, I don't want to necessarily hate to bring back up Tennessee, but it just dawned on me, or I want to pose this hypothetical, I guess. If we get to Selection Sunday and North Carolina did get that situation versus Duke and Tennessee did lose, is there one criteria in particular that would swing them? I guess I'm curious, just what would be the final argument for one team or the other in that situation?
It's the quality of their wins.
Okay.
It's the quality of their wins. Because North Carolina, I mean, they're not getting higher quality wins in their league much, but they did well outside their league. And so that's basically the difference between the two if it comes down to that.
Other question I had, Jerry, is give us, we've enjoyed chatting with you here on Thursdays the last couple of weeks. Do you get extra nervous this week? Is this is business as usual for you this week, or do you kind of, you're strutting around the house, a little more pep in your step? Kind of give us just a breakdown on your day-to-day right now.
I'm at my house. I'm in Connecticut at the moment at CBS Sports HQ studios. I'll be in CBS Sports Network studios in New York, so I'm not doing anything in my house until Monday. And I've been gone for almost 2 weeks. So I don't know that I get nervous. I'm just tired. I don't sleep much. I won't sleep much at all this weekend. I'll be fueled by caffeine.
Jerry, when will your final projected bracket?
Sometime on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime on Sunday, and it depends on whether or not any of the Sunday games matter. It's possible that they could. You could have Purdue playing on Sunday, and the overall number 1 seed could matter. But you could have, I think, Tennessee on Sunday as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
SEC final is on Sunday, so that could be for the 4th number 1 seed. So sometime on Sunday, and it could change on Sunday. I'll post something Sunday morning for sure, and then it could change again on later in the day.
Great. Well, we'll be looking forward to keeping up with it over the weekend and surely comparing your final to what actually shakes out. But Jerry Palm of CBS Sports, we really appreciate you taking some time with us these last few Thursdays to shed some light on the process and what we can expect. And look forward to speaking with you again, man.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Hey, when we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, we will finish up kind of like we started, I guess, talking a little NFL free agency, see what else has developed both with the Titans and away from the Titans. So stay tuned as we continue and wrap up from the Lee Company studio here at Murphy Center after this.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No.
No. Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom line.
be a buzz.
When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
The final segment of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. And again, I'm just so fascinated by this NFL free agency period.
It'll make your head spin, partner.
It does, man. And I don't know if it's the extra, salary cap space that everybody got or what it is, but there is some wild stuff going on. Look no further than Atlanta, where they brought in Kirk Cousins at quarterback. And a lot of Falcons fans are kind of upset because the money is comparable to what they could have gotten Lamar Jackson for conceivably a year ago.
I was just getting ready to say, I saw a social post yesterday said, you mean for this amount of money, we got to settle in this sense of the word, because we're talking about an MVP, obviously. We got to settle for Kirk Cousins when we could have had Lamar Jackson. And
4 years, 180 with 100 guaranteed, which prompted Cam Newton to ask him who his agent was.
Yeah, Cam's probably like, you know what? I might have to hire that person. I could maybe sneak out a final contract if I were able to do so.
The Houston Texans continue to load up. I mean, we've talked about how Nebias Wilburn in particular talked about how Jacksonville kind of sat back, stood pat, however you want to put it, on their success of 2022, and you saw what it got them. The Texans have signed Danielle Hunter from Minnesota, I guess, edge rusher from Minnesota.
Yep.
They are really seizing the moment, it feels like.
And, as somebody that follows the Titans obviously very closely and is a fan of the Titans, I hate to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But as just kind of a neutral observer of the NFL and fan of the league, I love that move from the Texans. You know what? We ain't sitting on our laurels. I don't know if they recognize they caught a little lightning in a bottle last year. And now is, hey, I love the fact that we're not just going to sit idly by. We are going to go all in and really kind of create our own luck in this sense and put all the chips in the middle. And so, again, as a Titans fan, I don't like it, obviously, being in the division. But as a fan of the NFL and that franchise and what they've done recently, I love that move. And I love that approach, I guess, is a better way to say it.
Be careful with the all-in phrase.
Oh, yes, excuse me. That'll get you in trouble.
Especially if it's not properly punctuated.
Yes, I know where you're going with that part.
Yeah. Speaking of
Vanderbilt legend.
Speaking of AFC South rivals, how, as a Titans fan, do we feel about the Colts losing Gardner Minshew, gaining Joe Flacco?
That's a good question. And as just kind of as a Titans fan, I'm not real sure, because if Flacco can perform like he did, if for some reason he were to get in that situation, right?
Mhm.
And obviously with the style of play and the injuries we saw with Richardson last year, it seems like there's a decent enough chance that, your backup could see some minutes. If he could play like that, I would, I'd like almost give a slight lean to Flacco just from the experience factor, experience at a high level, I suppose. As a fan of the game, kind of the same deal. If he weren't in the same division, I love watching Minshew play. I mean, he's just hard kind of not to root for, just as kind of crazy as he is on the field.
He's so off script.
Yeah.
Feels like.
Yeah, he's just kind of outside of the norm, and anybody that's kind of, marched to the beat of a different drum, I'm kind of always intrigued by, if nothing else, and fascinated by, maybe even more so. And so I think they probably maybe got, if Flacco can somehow perform like he did. The other interesting angle to that is obviously, as we've talked about, with Callahan not coaching the offensive line anymore, how would Flacco hold up with the Colts offensive line? And so I don't know. He might have caught lightning in a bottle a little bit too. And I don't really know. Maybe now I've taught myself in a circle. Maybe now Minshew's the one that's better off in this situation. You kind of stumped me a little bit there, partner.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. We're a talk show. You talked. It's a good thing. Outside of the AFC South, Jacoby Brissett making another go-around with the Patriots, apparently. Marcus Mariota landing with the Commanders. And Sam Darnold is apparently QB1 in Minnesota.
I won't be able to find it again, but it was a writer of some sort that was kind of pontificating about Darnold. It might have been Bomani Jones, actually, now I think about it. And when you get drafted that high, and we kind of see it even a little bit still with Zach Wilson, when you just have that label attached,
you get opportunity.
You get a little extra more leeway, no matter what you've done.
Whether you deserve it or not.
Whether you deserve it or not. And the one thing, Darnold, he's still got the arm strength, and you can't teach that, I suppose.
No, you clearly
And so
cannot.
he's going to get. Sounds like he's going to get a shot at it, and
he's going to have to play his way out of the league.
And
now it feels like he's moving in that direction, but
slowly. I mean, I keep waiting on the guy. He ended up in a great situation, obviously, in San Francisco, and Minnesota is not just exactly a franchise that has been known for these just crazy electric quarterbacks just producing crazy numbers, not since Culpepper, I guess, back in the day. So if he could come in and just be serviceable, I think the rest of their team, obviously losing, we mentioned Hunter a moment ago, will be a big blow. But I don't know. I could see him having some decent success as long as you just don't go out there. And that's where Zach Wilson, I think, is going to fall more askew than Darnold here. As long as you're not going out making just major mistakes consistently. If you could just be kind of average, if you've got a decent enough team around you, you can work with that, right?
Average can be good enough in the right situation. If you, like you said, if you can just be average. The Falcons, after they signed Kirk Cousins, severed ties with Desmond Ridder, trading him to the Cardinals for diminutive wideout Rondale Moore, formerly of Purdue. So I guess giving Cousins something else to work with on the outside.
But the thing with Cousins, and I haven't been the biggest Cousins fan over the years, but he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal in Atlanta already. And it just felt like a franchise that if they could just get any sort of upgrade because Ridder was so bad, that it feels like they could be in a prime position to maybe make a run. Isn't that division just always a revolving door? It seems like they just rotate every 4 years on who's going to win it.
It just feels like to me, though, that like you said, if they get anything at quarterback, and they've got plenty of other weapons there with the running backs, Bijan Robinson coming off a great rookie year. Tyler Algier is still down there. I guess Cordero Patterson is still there.
I think Patterson's still there. You got Pitts, the tight end.
Yeah.
Who everybody still is waiting to just kind of unlock, it seems like, as well.
So it does feel like there is plenty of talent there. just a matter of can the quarterback take advantage of it. And prior to this, the answer to that has been no. And honestly, you said it. I'm just not sure that I trust Cousins.
I don't know
to that degree.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to be able to take them to the biggest of humps. I think he can be serviceable enough and quality enough of an option that they can certainly compete into the deep parts of the season for the NFC South. I think that is that.
Well,
that's why they're signing him, in my opinion.
I think that's as much an indicative of that division, though, as anything else. Because I mean, the Bucks are bringing back Mayfield, and apparently Mike Evans is coming back as well, which I'm sure each would say, bring the other one back.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like anybody except the Panthers can win the South.
I'm with you there.
Did you see where Jameis Winston has signed with the Browns?
I did not see. Oh, I did not see that. Interesting. That is that could work. And
I think that's a good sign, a good signing for Cleveland, because I don't think Jameis is going in there with any preconceived notions that he can be QB1, which Deshaun Watson doesn't need anybody pushing him, I don't think. I think he kind of needs to know that he's the guy. But, if for some reason he's out, as, the Browns went through, 4 quarterbacks last year?
Yep.
So they need somebody as QB2 that they can win with, because, again, they're another team that is going to be in that mix in the AFC North.
I think so for sure. And with Winston, as far as just pure talent goes, and again, kind of like we talked about with Darnold being so at the top of the draft board, the talent is, he might be, you can easily make the case, the most talented backup quarterback in the league. And if we can fix a few, if we have to throw him out there, we can work with some of the other things to try and bring him up to speed.
Well, this is a guy who, as a starting quarterback, has been productive.
Yeah.
He had a great year in Tampa that one year with Bruce Arians. Everybody was kicking on him about the interceptions, but I think that was as much a product of the system as it was of anything that he did or didn't do. But,
And he's got the LASIK now, so as by his own admission, he said, I can finally see. I was throwing to linebackers. I was just throwing the ball up by accident. Hey, real quick, you and I were both looking at the Athletic and their rankings. How about this? And this is why was fist pumping, I think, at the end of the show yesterday. Titans had center Lloyd Cushenberry grade A.
Mm-hmm.
Titans had they had I lost my search bar. They gave an A grade for the Calvin Ridley signing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Titans had Tony Pollard B minus.
Okay.
B's, you can graduate from college with a B.
C's get degrees.
C's get degrees. A B is just a bonus. So we talked and we kind of opened the show. They had Mason Rudolph. That gets a B grade, according again to Randy Muller's top 150 kind of rankings here. So we opened the show talking about the Titans making some noise, splashing the cash. And it's not as if they're just throwing it out to just anybody. They're kind of being targeted.
Targeted. That's a good word for it. Focused.
And I kind of like what they're doing. I call that a little bit of bias or homerism if you like, but it just feels refreshing to see them identify somebody that fits what they want to do and go after them and get them.
And get them.
Mm-hmm.
And get them, I think, is the key. Because I think they've identified guys in the past before they've been able to get them. They're getting them this time. And again, the Cushenberry signing in particular is really it's got to be inspiring if you are a Titans fan that watched this offensive line at work over the past couple of years.
Yes.
So, tomorrow on Main Street Sports Day, we are scheduled to visit with THROWBACK women's basketball coach Karen Booker. They are in the NCAA postseason in Division II. We are also scheduled to visit with Nashville Cats play-by-play announcer Eli Gold. So come back with us tomorrow at 2 o'clock on Main Street Sports Day, presented by the Tennessee